Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be taking a look at the finances of a 28-year-old named Michael. We're going to cover where he's at today, what's causing friction, and what's realistically possible from here, and how can we get his finances to improve. If this kind of breakdown is useful for you, consider subscribing and following along. And with that, let's get into it. So let's start with the basics. Let's get an understanding of who Michael is and where his situation currently sits at. He's 28, lives in Western Washington, and shares an apartment with another family member. He works in construction, and his income is variable because it depends on if he's working union jobs or private jobs. But on average, he makes about $3,000 a month. When he talks about his finances, the main thing that stands out is money feels tight and he's living paycheck to paycheck. On top of that, he's also thinking about switching careers. So this would mean going back to school, getting an education, and then finding a brand new job. He's a military veteran, so he has the benefit where he can get school completely paid for. The only trade-off is he'd have to work part-time if he was to go to school full-time. With that context and a little bit of background information, let's dive in and see what's causing pressure. Right now, he doesn't have a budgeting system in place. His direct deposit hits a savings account, which he then transfers to a checking account to pay bills. Between the manual transfers and not having a budget, it's hard to see what exactly is going in and what's coming out. There are also cash flow timing issues. He's paid weekly, but at the beginning of the month, money still feels tight because bills often hit before the cash has time to rebuild. His current cash buffer, or his emergency fund, is at about $235. Now that's better than nothing, but that doesn't cover a month's worth of expenses. If he was to get hit by a surprise, this could really derail his finances. Now let's get into his debt. In total, he has about $14,500 of debt. That's spread out between car loan, some credit cards, owing some court fees, owing money to an electric company, and some unknown IRS debt that we think is around $6,000. None of these balances on their own are that extreme, but altogether, there's a lot of moving pieces, and this leads to financial stress. Now that we've seen what's causing the friction, let's see if there are some ways to improve his structure. The goal here isn't to do anything fancy. We just want to stabilize and create a better structure for him. The first step here is visibility. We got to know how much money's coming in each month, and we have to know where all the money's going to. We also got to compile a list of his bills so that he knows exactly when the due dates are for each one. That tracking will help see where the money's going and be able to explain why things feel tight. The next step is simplifying the cash flow. We need to adjust his account structure. Right now, his direct deposit is hitting directly into savings. What we need to do is get that direct deposit hitting his checking account, because your checking account is like your home base. And from that account is where you can transfer money to savings or to investing. Building up a small buffer is next. Our first savings goal is for him to hit about 1 month worth of expenses. I recommend opening up a high yield savings account to separate this from his spending money. Ideally, it would be an online bank to reduce temptation of wanting to spend this money. This isn't a fully funded emergency fund yet. This is just enough to hold him over until he can get rid of his high interest debt as quick as possible. The idea here is to keep anything else from derailing his current situation. After the emergency fund, we've got to figure out more details around his debt. We got to know what the interest rates are. He needs to confirm with the credit card companies what the minimum payments are and see what the interest rates are. The IRS balance also needs to be addressed. He doesn't know the current balance, so what he needs to do is get on the phone with them and figure out what the amount is and if he can get on a solid payment plan. And for 2025, he's got to make sure to correctly file his taxes. This is important. Now, I haven't forgot about his income. My suggestion is for him to find as many additional hours as he can. This isn't a forever thing. This is just for now until he can quickly get rid of this high interest debt. If we can bring in an extra 1,000 or an extra 1,500, that's just an additional margin that he can throw at debt or throw into his savings and build up his emergency fund faster. For investing, this stage is just about awareness, not action. He doesn't know if he has a retirement account from being in the military. So what he needs to do is call around and get the details so he can get access to that account. And with his current job, he also doesn't know if he's enrolled in a retirement account. So what he can do here also, call his current employer and figure out if they opened up a 401k or some kind of retirement account for him. If they did open one for him, he's got to figure out what his current contribution rate is, how much is in there, and if the company provides some kind of match. Any new investing comes later. We got to build a solid foundation first and then focus on growing his investments later. So now we've gone over his pressure points and some recommendations. So let's take a step back and figure out what his priorities are. First is visibility and stability. We need to start budgeting so we can start tracking our expenses. We also need to get our bills mapped so we know exactly how much has to be in our account before bills are due. Second is improving his account structure. Let's make it simple. In regards to savings, Let's open up a high yield savings account. And remember, ideally, we want it to be an online account, but any high yield savings account will work. We got to build up a 1 month emergency fund until all the debt is gone. And then once the debt is gone, we need to build up a fully funded emergency fund, which is about 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. The next priority is increasing that income. If we can increase margin, we can pay off the debt faster and get our savings up quicker. Fourth is eliminating debt. I recommend using the snowball method for Michael. This way, he gets small wins along the way to help him build up his momentum and keep motivation high as he pays off his debt. His fifth priority is investing, but only after the debt is gone. I recommend opening up a Roth IRA and setting up consistent contributions each month. But remember, only after the debt is gone. And the sixth priority is his career decisions. He wants to go back to school, so I think there are two options for him. Option one, he waits until all of his debt is gone and goes back to school in a good financial standing. Mainly because when he starts up school, he's gonna decrease his hours and become part-time. That means income goes down, and that means paying off debt slows down. Option two, if he thinks he can get his degree and pivot to a new career under a couple of years, I think that's great, and we should go with option two. This is only if he sees a clear path to increasing his income and getting a better career. So what does this actually look like over time? This is just a rough outline of what could happen if he stays consistent. The first few months are all about stabilizing. He's getting visibility through budgeting, cleaning up that account structure, and getting that 1 month's emergency fund built. Then the momentum builds. Hopefully the following few months, he can increase his income, he gets that savings built up to 1 month, and then he starts aggressively attacking debt. Around the 9-month range, he could wipe out most of his non-IRS debt. Cash flow will open up, and he can use that extra money to put towards the IRS debt. And a few months after that, the focus shifts to foundation. He's growing his savings, he's paying off that IRS debt through minimum monthly payments, and he's starting to transition from cleaning up to growth. In the next phase, hopefully all that IRS debt is gone, so he's completely debt-free. He can now start investing in that Roth IRA. He knows exactly what career path he wants to take, and so he can go back to school, or he's already in his new career. And now his new financial system supports his lifestyle, and he doesn't have to stress about money as much anymore. There are a few broad lessons that I think will apply to not just this situation, but to anybody's situation out there. First, visibility is the starting point to improving your financial situation. We got to know exactly how much money's coming in and how much is going out to see exactly where the issues are. Second, having an efficient account setup matters more than people realize. Too many manual transfers create unnecessary stress. Keeping things simple allows for your system to work without requiring constant discipline. Third, income is the biggest driver of making progress if used intentionally. More income helps pay off debt faster and build up savings quicker. I don't recommend grinding extra hours forever, but focused short sprints of time or upgrading your career can accelerate progress significantly. And finally, long-term stability comes from building a strong foundation first. When the system is in place, income, savings, and investing can all scale without lifestyle creep undoing all the progress. Michael isn't in the worst spot, but he does have some work to do. Within the next couple years, I really think he can make a difference in his finances and make big improvements. To wrap this up, this is what a real financial situation looks like for a 28-year-old. My recommendations aren't flashy, but it's structured. The real progress happens quietly. It doesn't happen overnight. I hope you found this breakdown useful. Feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.